Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers lose to the New Jersey Devils by a score of 5-1. And I was at this game, unfortunately. This was definitely one of the worst games that I've been to, just like from a Rangers standpoint, as far as just really never being in the game as far as the score was concerned. I mean, I've seen the Rangers play worse. But they were just down off the jump right away. Another early goal against. And that's been a problem with this team. And so a minute and 27 seconds in, the Devils score one, and then 7:10 in, they make it 2-0. And even though there were some opportunities against Jacob Markstrom, Igor Shesterkin struggled in this game for sure. But you just can't feel good about where things are at for this team overall. So now they're 13-10-1. Clearly the Devils are the superior team at this point. And look, for the Rangers, it is a very, very tough hill to climb when it comes to the top three teams in this division. In any order you want to give it, Carolina, Washington, and the Devils. I think in a best case scenario, and this is not where the conversation should be directed, but I think the Rangers, they're in that wild card conversation. Like, I'm not overly optimistic that things are really going to get much better. And you know what's a shame is that I don't think that the personnel is really going to be altered all that much. As much as, there's been rumors and things like that, I just don't know how realistic it is. And I don't want it to be another situation where this group gets another coach fired. And there's two sides to this. If the Rangers did somehow fire Laviolette, and these things do happen a lot earlier than you'd ever think. It's unfair, but it's the way that it goes. There's two sides to this. I don't want him to be fired. I don't. If he did, it probably would increase the Rangers' chances and give that sort of new coach bump that you see a lot, where just a new voice and it can kind of get, re-energize the group a bit. I don't think that's going to happen. It doesn't really deserve to happen when it comes to Laviolette. I mean, but like the bigger point is, I don't want to see this group get another coach fired because they are the constant theme here. It really doesn't matter much who the head coach is. It's a matter of you need to somehow break up part of this team. And I don't know how they're going to be able to do that. This was something that really could have and should have been done more in the offseason. And again, then I wasn't looking for a total teardown, but one or two key pieces, not including Barclay Goodrow. I understand that Goodrow, he wasn't insignificant, but I'm not talking about that. Something with more impact. I think that would have, if you could have pushed the right buttons and had the right combination, that could have been what you needed. This team right now, I don't know if stale is the right word, because I know that they are capable at times of playing, a good brand of hockey, but it's not there. And again, I just don't feel great about where they are at. Now, I think in the long run, I think that there's enough talent, not just on the veteran side, but on the younger end. Like, I don't think that this thing goes off the rails. I'm not envisioning this being like when the letter was sent out in, what was it? Was that 2018? Like, I don't think it's like that. I just think that there's going to have to be some key people that leave, and then younger players are going to have to take bigger roles, and you are going to have to, I guess in a sense, bring, have people from, outside the organization come in and just change the mix, if that's possible. So not a great time for the Rangers. They have lost 6 of the last 7. They had that one win against Montreal the last game, and they really didn't play all that well in that one. Look, good to get the win. And if they had lost that game, forget about it. With this, if they had someone been on a 7-losing streak, then the noise would be that much louder. So that was a big win to at least kind of calm some things down temporarily. But that's kind of gone now too, because you lose to a division rival against the Devils. They come into Madison Square Garden, and the Devils just, I felt like, and again, my vantage point was different being at the game than watching it on TV, but they were just in control. It wasn't as if they, like I said, they didn't dominate, but being up 1-0, being up 2-0, it put them in a position where they could play a certain style. They just didn't seem very phased, and they didn't seem flustered. Maybe if the Rangers had cut it to 2-1 or something like that, or tied it up somehow, then maybe you're looking at something different. but that didn't happen. And that was a key part of the game. The fact the Devils held it at 2 for as long as they did, and they got that third goal, at that point, it was kind of over. Let's discuss, before we get into the game, some roster things. So, as mentioned in the last episode, Brett Berard took a big hit from Kirby Dach. And that he did return last game, but it did result in him missing this one. So it was termed an injury. I'll say this, based on how this game went, kind of bodes well for Berard if and when he is healthy, because I think there is a concern as far as a numbers game that Brett Berard, may be sent down at some point. So what ends up happening is Berard is out. And as well, Jimmy Vesey's a healthy scratch. Now, I don't recall Vesey having been a healthy scratch to this point. He had missed due to injury, right? He missed the first 10 or so games due to injury. I think this was his first healthy scratch. So Riley Smith and Johnny Brodzinski were back in. So then I guess I'll bring up Matt Rempe. Now, I am not one that really felt like that would have been the move. But I do understand if there was a segment of Ranger fans that wanted Rempe in there, especially if you're going to scratch Vesey. Okay, then just scratch Brodzinski as well and throw Rempe into that spot with Edstrom and Carrick. I get it, because look, Rempe, for better or worse, and this was a different Devil team last season. They weren't as good last season. But like, he seemed to throw them off their game, and it became a bit of a sideshow. But it kind of did work to the Rangers' benefit in a lot of those cases. And so I can understand if there are some people that would have wanted that. It probably really wouldn't have made much of a difference in the end of the day. But yeah. So anyway, the lines were I'll keep it simple. They're a lot of what we were accustomed to for most of the season. And I guess I'll start from the bottom. That fourth line, is what you'd expect out of the guys that were in there, Edstrom, Carrick, and Brodzinski. The big change, I guess I'll continue. What we're used to was Kreider, Zibanejad, Riley Smith, and so that was intact. The one change, and we saw it flip by the end of the game, but it was Hedl in the middle of Panarin and Lafreniere, and Trocheck in between Cooley and Kakko. By the end of the game, they went back to the traditional lines of Trocheck with Panarin and Lafreniere, and Hedl with Cooley and Kakko. It just doesn't, and honestly, your guess is as good as mine as far as what those lines will look like come Friday against Pittsburgh. They may be completely different. I don't know. I do not know. It will not be what started. I'd be stunned. It will not be some of those lines that started this game. That's not going to happen next game. For the defensive pairs, the same as how they've been: Lindgren, Fox, Miller, Schneider, Jones, Trouba. And I felt as if in this game that the Miller-Schneider pair had their struggles at times, some that kind of did lead to goals against. And so that's an ever-changing, ever-evolving situation defensively. Adam Fox played a lot in this game, and a lot of that is because of probably the special teams, especially in the second period, that kind of juiced up his ice time to 25 minutes and 37 seconds. Another night where Jacob Trouba wasn't in that much, which I don't mind. He was at 16 minutes and 45 seconds. And I think probably a lot of that was due to the fact the Rangers were trailing, but still it is noteworthy that Trouba did not play too much. I don't mind that. But again, Miller Schneider I didn't think was all that good in this game. And so, yeah, let's jump into it. Jacob Markstrom versus Igor Shesterkin. Igor's struggles are there. They are there to a point where it almost feels a little bit like last season, where you're at this point in the season where, now the difference is Shesterkin got off to a really good start this year, whereas last year it almost felt like Igor was just from the outset wasn't great. But then Igor turned it on big time post All-Star break. He was great. That you may, and the schedule will usually dictate this. My point is where you might want to get Jonathan Quick in there a little bit more than you have. However, in my mind, you have a Saturday, you have a Sunday, Monday back-to-back, right? So right then, so you almost know that Igor will get that Friday Penguin game. I'm almost certain of that. And then it'll be a split with Shesterkin and Quick for the Kraken Blackhawk back-to-back home set. So there isn't really much to discuss there, because again, but Igor is going to get the lion's share of opportunity. But like I said, Igor has not been very good, and let's discuss that. And Jacob Markstrom was very solid. He's a really big-time addition for the Devils. I'm not sure what the stats bear out, but Markstrom, when he's on his game, he is really, really solid. And so that was, again, a really big acquisition from the New Jersey Devils. A minute and 27 seconds in, Jesper Bratt makes it 1-0, his 12th goal of the season from Palat and Kovacevic. And this was a play where Braden Schneider goes deep into the offensive zone, and I think it was Panarin. I think that was the one that was probably that was a little too aggressive, and with Schneider pinching in, you need to stay back, and so it ends up in an easy 2-on-1 with Keandre Miller, the only one back. Bratt had the chance to pass. He shoots, and he scores past Shesterkin. So really bad all the way around. And I don't think the blame, I think that Laviolette was probably most upset with Panarin, and I'll tell you why I think that based on what ends up happening by the end of this period. But we've seen that way too often where a defenseman goes in deep and it ends up in an odd man rush the other way. It was one where I'm not going to blame Igor that much. It's one that, he probably could have stopped, but the next goal was worse, right? The next goal was worse. So the Devils make it 2-0 at 7:10 of the first period. Dawson Mercer, his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Luke Hughes. And so with this goal, it was a matter of a turnover at the neutral zone by Will Cooley. Will Cooley tries to make a pass to, I believe, Vincent Trocheck. Intercepted, and they go back the other way. And then things get scrambly in the Ranger defensive zone. Miller and Schneider were on. Things get a little chaotic, and Dawson Mercer ends up in a pretty good position to shoot. And Igor should have stopped this. Mercer didn't get everything on it. I don't know how to describe it, but he kind of, I don't think that was the shot that he was looking for, but he got enough on it, and it goes past Shesterkin. It seemed like it was a clear sight shot. It was from it was a good opportunity, but Igor should have not let that one in. That makes it 2-0 Devils. And then from there, the Rangers did have their chances, and they had a power play. At 9:16, Dougie Hamilton interferes with Vincent Trocheck, and this was a power play where there was a lot of zone time. A lot of Zibanejad shots were being blocked by the Devils, and it's just, again, it's ineffectiveness for Zibanejad on that power play. Although the Rangers do score a power play goal later on, that number one unit gets a lot of time. And I just feel like with some of the guys you have available on unit 2, it's unfortunate. We know that when they're at the top of their game, that first unit is dynamic, and it can be really good. I just don't love the distribution. So the Devils do kill that one off. And so the period ends 2-0 Devils, and the Rangers had their chance to score. Here's where things get interesting. Artemi Panarin and Filipino were basically benched for the last, 5 minutes, 6 minutes of that first period. They did not have a shift, to the point where it was Lafreniere with Edstrom and Carrick. So Bradzinski, as a result, didn't play. So they were rolling the Zibanejad line and the Trocheck line regularly. Again, Chytil and Panarin did not play. Panarin had made a bad turnover as well in the first period. So for Panarin, it was easy to see. And with that first goal, why he didn't play. The Chytil one was a little bit more surprising. But yeah, that's the way they went. I mean, that was pretty eye-opening. And I like it that he's holding Panarin accountable to a degree. Because I thought that, Panarin was kind of noticeably not doing well. But I was confused at first because I saw Lafreniere with the 2 fourth liners and thinking, okay, what does this mean? Is this somehow a demotion for Lafreniere or what is going on? But it actually really, it kind of wasn't. And I guess that made it more obvious. Laviolette could have just said, hey, I'm going to just not play that Chytil line. I'm going to roll with Edstrom, Carrick, and Bradzinski. But he didn't do that. He actually threw Lafreniere with them a couple of times. So again, that is something to just keep in the back of your minds, because I just think, clearly he was not happy about that. So we go to the second period, and another power play chance for the Rangers that doesn't come through. Siegenthaler hooks Adam Edstrom. Rangers don't score on that. And then here's where things get out of control. 7:05, Riley Smith trips Jack Hughes. And again, it's tough when you're at the game and the fans tend to boo. I mean, the fans, sometimes they're right, but the fans tend to boo a lot of the calls. So you try not to let that impact the way you look at it. But I will say some of these calls were a little bit questionable. Riley Smith trips Jack Hughes, and as there's not that much time left in the penalty, Adam Fox hooks Dawson Mercer. So now it's a 5-on-3 for the Devils, and they score. actually before the 5-on-3 expires, a couple seconds before it expires, Dougie Hamilton, his 5th goal of the season from Hughes and Bratt. So, again, 5-on-3, going to be tough to stop against the players the Devils have, and Hamilton wires it home past Shesterkin to make it 3-0. And then at 12:38, the Devils score again. It's Jack Hughes, his 10th goal of the season from Luke Hughes and Jesper Bratt. So a big, big night for both Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. They weren't done there, but I'm just telling you. And this was a play where Keandre Miller tries to pass to Johnny Brodzinski. It gets intercepted at around center ice. Devils get it back in, and they just outwork the Rangers. And Jack Hughes beats Sam Carrick. I'm not really sure why the fourth line was up against, Hughes. Maybe it was, I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't recall why that was. Maybe there was an icing. I don't know. But it would be a goal for Jack Hughes. Again, he beats, there's a rebound opportunity. He beats Carrick to it. Easy goal, makes it 4-0. Rangers do get a power play at 13:05. Kovacevic is called for delay of game, and the Rangers score. It would be a Chris Kreider power play goal, his 10th goal of the season from Zibanejad and Panarin. So nice little play there. I already felt the game was over. That didn't really change my mind, but I guess it was nice to see a goal and for them not be shut out. And then just more penalties. Zach Jones delayed a game at 14:01. Rangers kill that off. Then at 18:04, matching minors, Justin Dowling interference and Will Cooley embellishment. They honestly could have called nothing there, and I would have been fine with that. But the problem becomes on the 4-on-4, Kreider interferes with Jack Hughes. So that makes it a 4-on-3. And again, the Devils take advantage of there being only 3 Rangers on the ice. Jack Hughes scores again, his 11th goal of the season from Bratt and Hamilton. So 5-1 Devils right there. There would be a penalty on the Devils at the 20-minute mark of the second. Eric Howla interferes with Zach Jones, and there really isn't much to discuss in the third period, honestly. Rangers don't score on that power play to start the third. Devils win by a final of 5-1. Just bad all the way around. You get off to a bad start like that, it changes the whole complexion of the game. Second period, penalties kind of go out of control. The Devils score on a 5-on-3 and a 4-on-3. And Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt really get it done. 2 goals and an assist for Hughes, a goal and 3 assists for Bratt. Jacob Markstrom, excellent. So the Devils stars get it done. Rangers stars don't. And that's where it leaves you. So a bit of a rest for the Rangers. They don't play till Friday. So what that means, I don't know. If it was ever a time for some changes to be made, I guess it would be now, but I wouldn't expect it. I really would keep those hopes, if those are things that you do hope for. I'd keep them pretty low because I don't really think that maybe come trade deadline, maybe things open up, but certainly this part of the season, I'd be surprised. I'm hopeful. I'd like to see a shakeup, but I don't think that's going to happen. So a very disappointing loss to the Rangers. Their struggles continue. They've lost 6 of the last 7. The New Jersey Devils come to Madison Square Garden and beat the Rangers by a score of 5-1.